So now that we have most of his body done, it's kind of time to do the other side and then get his tail. So it's best to do his tail last because that is something in the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the entire other side of his body. And we can do this really easily. Since we were working symmetrically and we had this lined right down the center, super easy to get what we did on one side to the other side. And I'll do that by just going to mesh and then mirror. I'm going to go through the option box, this little square to the right of it. Let me move this over here. And we're going to take a look at things. We're going to cut geometry, which is fine because it'll cut off the other side. World is fine because we're going down the center. We already had that set up. We're going to do the mirror axis as X because we are looking at it from positive X to negative X. So that's why we have mirror direction as negative. Combine with original, perfect. We're going to merge border vertices and see how that looks. And we just hit mirror. And that worked perfectly. If that doesn't necessarily work, you could always try bridge border edges and see how that looks for you. But that, right off the bat, did everything really nice. So, with that being said, we kind of get to his tail now. So doing his tail is super simple. What we need to do first is I would like to have an area for his tail to kind of come in. So what I'll do is I'll pick, let's actually see where his tail comes in. So his tail is around here. So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'm going to insert an edge loop right here and right here, just so we have a spot for the tail to go. Right there, just as an example. Nope, not there. So I'm going to put one right there and right there. If it's off by a little bit, that's okay. But these four faces are going to be where his tail is coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that using a cube. So I'll just go to create, polygon primitives, cube. And we're going to bring this over here. We're not going to change any of the geometry just yet because actually we will change that a little bit. Let me set it to 2 for the subdivision width. That's just going to give us an extra edge right down the center. That'll make things easier later on. So, got this cube, and we're going to change that into his tail. Pretty simple by just going to vertex mode. I'm going to select one vertex. I'm going to go directly to the bottom and top of the edge of his tail. And we're just going to kind of follow this zigzag pattern. So I'm just going to take each vertex and just have it go down that zigzaggy pattern. Just like that. So let me just zoom in. Next thing I'm going to do is I want to select these faces right here on the bottom, and those are going to be our main faces to work with. So I'm going to create an extrusion. I'm just going to bring them down a bit. And I'm going to do the exact same process. Let me just move these over. So each new vertex is just going to go to one of these angles right here for the zigzag. And then after that, we just kind of repeat that process. So I have them already selected, so I'm just going to do an extrusion. Oops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just do a few extrusions at once just so I could see. So I'll just bring it down to one edge, do another extrusion, bring it down to another edge, do another extrusion, bring it down to here, and do one more right here, and then the last one we'll do on our own. This way I don't have to keep selecting things. So I'm just going to go in, select that vertex, bring it over there, bring this over to here, and then just kind of work my way down that zigzag pattern. And this way our geometry will be low, which makes things easy to work with, and nice and crisp. So we're just going to move things into as best as we can into place. Again, if they don't line up perfectly, that's alright. So that's going to go over there. And lastly, this one's going to go here. And now what we could do is we could just append this one together. Before we do that, I want to thin out that tail. So I'm just going to take that, and I'm just going to eyeball it and thin it out. We could go through here and look, but it doesn't even show up here. So that looks like it's going to be a thin enough tail. So with that being said, what we need to do is just have the right amount of geometry to attach it. So in this case, what I need to do is I need to add an edge loop right here, just so I have enough geometry to attach, just like that. I'm going to delete these four faces right there, Go to my model. I'm going to delete these 4 faces right here. And that's going to be our attaching points. So I'll select the 2. Mesh, combine, mesh tools, and append. So this is going to go across to this one. And I'm just going to work my way around that tail. And then moving it as I need. Ooh, that might not be right. Let's take a look. Nope, we're good. Yeah. So that's going to go over there. That last one's going to be a bit of a pain, so I'm just going to do this one for now, and then I'll go and do that one across. And we are going and getting into a territory where it's a little difficult to append some stuff. So we might have to get into weird angles just to kind of get things selected, because this one does seem to be a bit of a pain. So what I'm going to actually do is realize I messed up big time. So let us undo all that, and forgive me for being a fool. So let's do that over again. No wonder that wasn't working out nicely. So let's just undo what I just did. I can leave that right there. Actually, no, we'll just get rid of it. Let's try that again. Mesh tools, insert edge loop. Put that right there. That looks much better. Now I don't feel as dumb. Delete these faces. Delete these faces. Combine. So mesh, combine. Now we can append. That's definitely connecting properly. Sorry about that. So all I'm doing is just the standard appending as I was before, except with the right faces. And that's a lot easier than I was before. Then I'll hit enter, and now that tail is attached. And we could say we're done right here, but one thing that I do want to make sure is this is a sharp tail. So what I'll end up doing is I'll insert a couple of edge loops near these edges of the tail itself, just so when we smooth things out, they're very sharp. The more geometry you have clustered together, the sharper it's going to be. And it just makes things look a lot nicer when we smooth them out. And we could always add more later if we need. But I'm just kind of adding an extra edge loop wherever I have a sharp edge, just like that. And we can take a look at how it looks. That looks beautiful. All right, at this point, we are pretty much done with Pikachu. Normally you would do his eyes and his cheeks or things like that, or his mouth. But those details will normally come in through the textures. Let me move these out a little bit, get a little more facial. So we're not going to really do it for this model. But if you have something really three-dimensional when it comes to eyes and cheeks and things like that, you would. But not necessary for this. So we are done with our lovely Pikachu. We could kind of go in, and if we want to make him permanently smoothed out, we just go to Mesh, Smooth, and then we kind of go, if we want to render him, let's go render him as software. There he is. I would probably go in and fix those edges if I really wanted to, and save that render. But for now, this will work. So thank you for tuning in.